Hi, on today's episode on ways you can support your childcare journey with your child, we're going to be discussing nutrition. In your childcare journey, the nutrition of your child is one major area that you need to pay careful attention to. And if not paid attention to, it's going to affect the child's health, it's going to affect the child's overall well-being. With me is one of our favorites, my friend, Ify, the kid nutritionist. I'm going to ask you how to explain 3 ways you can use nutrition to support your childcare journey, and I'm going to be sharing 3 ways. So if he's going to take us on the first point, which is paying attention to your child's allergies and intolerances. Ify.
Hi Oni, thank you for that question. So when it comes to intolerances and allergies in children, it is so important that you are vigilant and you're paying attention to detail. So allergies affect your immune system and intolerances affect the digestive system. So they respond differently. When it comes to allergies, a lot of children don't actually have allergies. What they actually have are intolerances. A few ways that you can check to see if your child has an intolerance or an allergy to a particular food is offering that food and then waiting at least 24 to 48 hours to see if they come up with hives or rashes or start itching, or you start seeing rashes in different parts of their body, or they have redness or soreness in any part of their body. Now, it doesn't specifically have to be in the stomach or in the hand, because sometimes heat rashes can show up and be mimicked as an allergy or an intolerance. What I always advise is that when you notice this, take note of the ingredients that were used to cook the meal, because there's something called degree of intolerances. Now, I'm not going to go too much into this, but I'll summarize it for you. What that means is that sometimes it is a particular ingredient in a meal, or it is the frequency that the child is being exposed to that thing. Let's use nuts, for example. So some children don't have any issues with peanuts. However, if they eat peanuts too many times, so like peanut butter, the cereals they have peanuts in them, or even like you that is breastfeeding, you eat a lot of nuts. Because of the frequency of this particular food in their meals, their body starts to show up with rashes. But if they eat it just once or twice in a week, they are fine. But if they eat it multiple times, that's when they start to show issues. Now, for allergies, they are almost instantaneous. Your child will consume that food, and in less than an hour, they are already breaking out. Now, most times, this is particular to the top 7: nuts, dairy, eggs, fish, shellfish, tree nuts, and soy. Right? Those are the top 7. So keep in mind, when you're offering these things to your children, you are paying attention to these, especially if you're just weaning.
2, being a role model for your child's nutrition by practicing what you preach. So, as much as possible, ensure that you are eating healthy. Whatever your child sees you eating is what you have been asking them or what you're expecting them to eat. Most times, children will want to eat with you. So you don't just bring healthy food and feed them. They want to eat together with you. So while you've provided a healthy food for them, you also should have an healthy food while you're feeding them. You eat together. So they can also feed or eat from what you're feeding from if they have reached the age of eating solids. Another way is by making sure that what you have provided in the house is healthy. So you don't want your children to eat burgers, you don't want them to eat sweets, you don't want them to consume a particular kind of food that is not healthy. You don't have it in your refrigerator, you don't provide it in the house, you don't also eat it. So by being a role model, you're eating what you want them to eat, what you have in your house, what you've provided in the refrigerator. When they open the refrigerator, what they are seeing there is healthy food, natural fresh juices. So what you're providing is what is healthy, what they can eat. So you don't say something else and do something else. Number 3, focus on balanced diet.
So when it comes to feeding your children a balanced diet, it is so important that you apply this simple principle: carbohydrate, protein, and fat. When you feed your children, don't feed your children for the meal itself. So let's take jollof rice, for example. If you're offering a child jollof rice, what is in jollof rice? Rice is a carbohydrate, tomato is a carbohydrate, right? Oil, very little most times in the actual meal they are serving, which is the only fat they're getting. And then if you remember, eggs, chicken, fish, or something else that will serve as some kind of protein. So you can see that this isn't a very balanced meal. However, if you're going to make jollof rice for your child, rice is perfect as the carbohydrate, right? The next option that you want to think about is the protein itself. Now, some children will not eat the protein with the meal, right? Sometimes they will not even eat it at all. So sometimes you can shred it, you can dice it. It can be chicken, it can be fish, it can be beef, it can be gizzard, it can be liver, right? The liver can even be blended with the pepper mix to add to the rice as it is boiling, to give it an added boost of nutrients. You also can add things like beans to your jollof rice. Now, it doesn't have to be whole beans, it can actually be beans puree, which can be added to the tomato sauce that can then be used to make the jollof rice, right? Another thing that you also want to consider is your fat. Now, it might sound goofy, but sometimes adding a little bit of peanut butter to your pepper mix, or grinding groundnut and adding it to your pepper mix, or even adding coconut milk to your pepper mix and now turning that into coconut jollof rice, or even better still, using butter to cook the rice, right? Olive oil to cook the rice to amplify the amount of fat. So that way you have a carbohydrate, you have a protein, and you have a fat.
4. Provide consistent meals and snacks to boost your child's energy level. And because children are kids, most of them do not eat large quantities at a time. They prefer to eat bits, smaller portions at different intervals. So as much as possible, before they even go to school, you provide small portions of meals, snacks. Snacks, I mean healthy snacks. You can have meat pie that has filings of carrots, vegetables, minced meat, eggs in it. For children that do not eat in school, that school do not provide when you're going to school, for the snack time, you can provide a smaller portion, something that they like. It mustn't be something that is baked. It mustn't be something that is fried. It could be a cooked meal that they like. Maybe a favorite meal, maybe it could be spaghetti or something, a favorite meal that they like, but a smaller portion of it. You tell them this is what you're going to have for snack. It mustn't be baked, it mustn't be fried. So as much as possible at home, you can divide the meals of your children to smaller portions at different time intervals so that you would have variety. Children love variety. If you want your children to eat more, you can provide smaller portions of variety of meals that they can snack on. A snack doesn't necessarily have to be baked, doesn't necessarily have to be fried. A snack is just something you snack on for a short period of time before you have a full meal. So a snack can be a smaller portion of something that they like, something that is their favorite meal, as long as it is balanced. But let them have it at different intervals. Number 5, be aware of different nutritional needs for different age groups. Ify.
It is so important, just like I have said over and over again, to feed children in balance and to feed them nutrient density. Now, this varies from age to age. Caloric needs differ from child to child. However, I will state this. You must ensure that you are feeding appropriate portions to children. Children younger than the age of 1 do not need to eat more than half a cup in whatever it is that is the meal. Half a cup is usually about this much. Can you see my hand? It's usually about that much. Even less than that in any meal they are eating. So when you fill a bowl with ogi or you fill a bowl with cereal and the child doesn't even eat more than a quarter of that, and then you're frustrated, my child does not eat enough, they eat 2 tablespoons. Sweetheart, that's not 2 tablespoons. You're overfeeding your child. You're not stuffing a cow, you're growing a human being. Okay? Now, another thing I would also like to state is that as the child gets older, it doesn't necessarily have to be one large meal. It can be smaller meals that are high in nutrient density. Remember the principle of CPF? This is something that you want to apply when you're offering meals to children, so that, for example, it can be chicken nuggets, right? Or even a sandwich. It can be a sandwich where you had drizzled butter on top of the bread before you toasted it. Can be cheese in the middle, it can be egg in the middle, it can be chicken in the middle, because bread is carbohydrate, the oil that you drizzle on top of it is the fat, and the cheese can also be protein and fat as well. There you go, CPF. So it doesn't have to be anything complicated, but the simpler the meal, make sure the nutrient density is up to par, because as a child gets older, their brain is requiring more and more energy in terms of carbohydrates. So what you're thinking you're feeding, which might not even be a good carbohydrate, which is sugar, especially in juices and all these packet things, might not be in your child's best interest. So it is in my professional opinion to advise you that every time you're feeding your child, think about the CPF rule and ensure that the portion is adequate. For children who are older than 1, up to a cup is fine, a cup and a half is fine, up until about they are 6 years old. And then after they turn 6, oh goodness, they are ravenous. So sometimes they can eat up to 2 cups, but you want to make sure you are controlling the portions and ensuring that the child is not overfeeding themselves so that they are getting the right nutrients and their body uses it adequately.
Number 6, the last but not the least, especially for older children, you will want to get them involved in meal planning and grocery shopping. This will foster a sense of ownership and involvement while choosing healthy foods. So children love to be involved in meal planning. They want to suggest what they like. They have their own preferences as it has to do with food. I feel that you should put that into consideration. How? By involving them, especially for older children, by involving them in the meal planning. When it's time to write the grocery list, let them sit with you and write whatever it is they feel they would want or they would like to be prepared at home. They can write it as long as they are under healthy food category. And when it's time to prepare these meals, you can also tag them along. Let them tell you what they want, how they want it. You only need to guide and ensure that the meal that you're preparing for them is healthy. That way, you are supporting their childcare journey by investing in their nutrition. I'm sure you enjoyed today's video and this episode on nutrition. Please join us on the next episode on ways you can support your childcare journey. Share this video, like it, and see you in the next one.